Here we are. It is a beautiful Monday, November 13th, 2023. Got an interesting one here today. You may have watched the video back in September when Matt and I flew out to Texas, and a gentleman, his name Enrique, came up to us at the airport, and then we met up with him again at the airport in Dallas, Texas, and he did an interview with us. Enrique lives literally a mile from me, and he was really gracious enough to invite me out to lunch today with his friend Blake, who's been watching the show for over 2 years and has some interesting insight too. So I'm here with both of them today. But Enrique, let's start with you. Good to see you, man.
Hi, good to see you.
And you got a few things you want to talk about today.
Yes.
First off, let's talk about your background.
Yeah, so I'm an enrolled agent. I've been doing tax returns for 19 years here in the Coachella Valley, and I've actually done taxes throughout the last recession that we had in 2008, and I'm still, obviously, tax season is still going on right now, and so right now we're focusing on trying to get as many tax returns as we can done. But yeah, we've seen a lot of stuff throughout these last years and how things little by little are changing.
So that's what we're going to talk about. Blake also with me here today. How you doing, Blake? Background?
Hello, doing well, doing well. So I've been here in the desert for about 7 years now, and known Enrique for that entire time that I've been out here. And in the desert here, I practice as a physical therapist assistant and also do health coaching and fitness training as well.
Okay. So I'm going to take a few minutes here. We're going to talk to both of them about what they see happening right here to the U.S. economy. And a CPA right here to my left, Enrique, is going to tell you what he's seeing. He said something to me a couple days ago that he wanted to talk about, and it's the word greed. He's seeing more greed now than ever. And could you elaborate, Enrique, what you mean by that?
Yeah, so during COVID, there was a lot of money that was actually thrown out into the economy. And I personally noticed that a lot of people started getting very greedy. You could see it in their actions and all the money that they were receiving. They just started spending more and more on stuff that they couldn't really afford. But yeah, everybody keeps asking for more money. Even to this day, I still get a lot of people that are just constantly trying to see how much money they can get from the government, even though most of that money, if not all, is pretty much gone away. But yeah, there's a lot of greed out there.
So what happens to these people now? Now that the money is being exhausted, a lot of the money has dried up. We still know that there's money out there, still in the system that is drying up. But you're saying now that you're seeing the money has dried up for a lot of people.
Yes.
What does this mean for them?
Yes, so a lot of people, what I've noticed is now that they can't get money from the government, a lot of them are tapping into their credit cards or home equity loans. I've noticed a lot of my clients saying that they're actually taking money out of their homes to be able to keep sustaining that lifestyle, or running into more credit card debt, which has really high interest. And also another thing is a lot of people are actually foregoing to pay the state or the IRS or even the State Board of Equalization, because that money they need to be able to keep sustaining a lifestyle.
So what you're saying is right now people are avoiding paying their taxes?
There's a lot of people.
So you're a CPA, and you're telling 50, 60,000 people going to watch this video that there are people now not paying taxes because they cannot pay taxes. What happens to these people?
Yeah, so a lot of these people that can't pay their taxes, they're probably going to have to go into some sort of installment agreement, or a lot of them think that they could just have the government get rid of that debt for pennies on the dollar. There's a lot of people out there online or on television that keep promising people that they can actually get rid of their debt, for pennies on a dollar, or 1/10 of what they owe. And so they think that they could just get away with it. But the reality is, especially the state of California or the IRS, they will come after you, and they will eventually collect their money, or you're just going to owe them for the rest of your life.
So they're going to go after their houses?
They're going to go after
any
their
assets, or jail?
Yeah, I mean, it could get to that.
So people are literally treating the U.S. government like it's a credit card, like, I'll pay you pennies on the dollar. We'll work out a deal when the time comes. The government does not. The U.S. government, Uncle Sam, does not work like that. They're going to charge you interest. They're going to come after your assets. They're going to come after your business. They're going to come after your house. They're going to get aggressive. And we know that they need money.
Yeah, and so the thing is right now is actually the worst time to do that because the interest rates for all that money that's coming due, well, actually right now, state of California got an extension, but after the due date, the interest rates are going to be really high because right now the interest rates in general are high on everything. So it's actually the worst time to be getting into debt with the government.
You know, Enrique, I think that's a great point. This is probably the worst time period to be getting in debt, period. Not just the government, but with the credit cards, with the cars, with the houses, with the lifestyles. This is the time to be getting out of debt right now. Debt is going to be the boogeyman here for most people. Get out of debt. Anything else about that? That is unbelievable what you're saying.
Yeah, so like I said, I think there's going to be more and more people running into trouble with the government going forward. I would say probably within the next year or two, I'm going to start seeing more and more people come to me saying, you know, I need an installment agreement. I need to pay. And the problem is that if you let that debt grow year over year over year, I have several clients that they're max out their exemptions at their W-2 job. And in 4 or 5 years, that can amass to a large amount of tax. Same thing with self-employed individuals. A lot of them, they don't pay any tax. They don't pay any estimated tax payments, or they don't plan. And so a lot of that debt can increase really fast in a couple of years. It becomes unmanageable to the point where the government, they won't want to work with you. They're pretty much going to set their own standards as to how much they think you can pay per month.
Wow, that is that's almost really scary because people, we know that, well, they say 62% of this country is living paycheck to paycheck. I think it's about 82% living paycheck to paycheck. You start getting in debt with the U.S. government now, on top of all the auto debt, the housing debt, the credit card debt, the student loan debt. I mean, these people are going to be absolutely buried. And like the U.S. government, that you just don't play around with the U.S. government and debt. You can play around with the credit cards. Maybe you can play around with your bank in the house, and you know it might take them a year to foreclose on you or whatnot. The U.S. government, they're going to come at you very, very hard. They have the resources, they have the assets, and they're desperate now more than ever for money.
Yes, and then also what I have noticed, a lot of my clients, especially the ones with businesses, a lot of them are starting to get into more credit card debt as well, which is also bad because not only that, but if you're owing the government a bunch of money and not only are you owing the credit cards, some of these credit cards are, 30%. And actually a lot of my clients too, what they've been pulling out is something similar to a payday loan, but for businesses. And I have several clients that are paying weekly hundreds, if not thousands of dollars just because they decided to take out a payday loan to be able to fund their business.
Wow. I mean, it just unbelievable. Yet we're being told daily on the television that everything is fine. Don't worry. Economy booming, consumer resilient. Now, Blake, let's shift over to Blake here for a couple minutes. What are you seeing now?
So, and what I'm noticing a lot is similarities to the prior bubble that we were in 05, 6, and 7, where people are being told by the media, by the government, go out and spend. Everything's fine. Everything's going to be just fine here. So I see a lot of people overextending and not really realizing the trouble that we're in right now.
Yeah.
So I think that's one big concern. And, we can try our best, and certainly we want to reach as many people as possible to really, kind of hone in their spending and be preparing right now in many different ways you can be preparing.
Agreed. The extend and pretend continues. And I want to thank Blake for coming out. You've been watching the show for over 2 years. And coincidentally, Blake knew Enrique. Enrique saw me at the airport. It's just, really crazy how life works and just brings people together. But, I want to say I'm just so honored to have people like these two who watch the show, support the channel by watching it, sharing it, and walking the walk and preparing. So refreshing to know that there's people out there who are awake, who are preparing, who are warning people out there who are not awake to get ready, because we saw what happened back in 2008, and we're going to watch this movie play over again, but it's going to be much, much worse. The sequel will be much, much worse. It always is. But Blake, we were talking at lunch today, physical health. And as Enrique is telling us about what he's seeing in regards to the economy, and we know the economy is failing, and people are going to go deeper into debt. Things are going to get much worse. We're talking about physical health on top of this. One of your number one assets that you got to have is physical health. But you and I agree that we've never seen a society like the one we're in right now so ill.
Yes, yes. I mean, just going out and walking around, you see a lot of folks that are in a rough place right now. Overweight, obese, other various metabolic conditions, diseases, and it's a really bad time to be in that situation, be addicted to pharmaceutical drugs, and just in the current medical model, the way that we are, and there's so many things that people can do to break out from that. No matter what situation that you're in right now, you can improve upon that and start to get outside of the little bubble that is the medical establishment. I was able to do that myself. I had the cards stacked against me, you could say, in several different ways, but I had to overcome that, and I had to not feel sorry for myself, and I had to just go out there, learn, take in information, apply that information so I could grow and get to a point where I could be really healthy and enjoy life.
Any words of advice today? Somebody might be in that boat where they're not feeling well, they're a little overweight, and we're not here to be judgmental. We're not condemning anybody. We're not making fun of anybody. We're not judging anybody. We want everybody to get in the best physical shape of their life and the best financial shape of their life. But what could somebody do today that might be, 50 pounds overweight and they just think they can't do it?
Yeah, so I think one big thing is realizing that you don't have to go to the end goal right away. Right. You can take baby steps. And it's hard for everyone, including myself, to do that. I have goals that I want to reach, and it's not going to take, a month or two. It might take a year or 2 years. But just taking the proper steps, some of the practical things that I recommend, as far as physical activity, no matter where you're starting, think of something practical that you can do, whether that's getting out, getting some sunshine, going for a walk. Maybe it's going to do a swim. Maybe you can't swim yet, so you get in the pool and you just do some walking.
Right.
And then you slowly build on that. And the other thing too is diet, what we put in our bodies.
Yeah.
I mean, think about your car. If you have a nice vehicle, you're going to put in the purest, best motor oil there is.
And premium gas, yeah.
Yeah, and premium gas. So as far as your bodies, a lot of the processed foods, I mean, that's, just textbook 101 stuff. Try and cut down on that. All the fast foods, try and buy foods. Start to prepare some foods. If you're not sure how to do that, start to do some YouTube videos. Look up how do I cook an egg? How many different ways can I do that? How do I get a grill and start to cook some good, clean meats?
Right.
Things along those lines, and take baby steps.
I agree 100%. As much as we talk about what's happening financially, who cares about money if you're sick, you're ill, your body's not functioning properly? And we know through the science or through health that if you're obese, it leads to multiple types of disease. So there's nothing negative about eating better and cleaner. There's nothing negative about getting some exercise. You're going to live longer, less risk of disease. So I think it's a win-win. Really quick, Enrique, I was walking past an ATM the other day at the grocery store, and I saw an ATM slip, and I was curious. So I reached down, picked it up, and this was Friday. And on Friday, this slip said that there was $8.15 in this bank account. And I said to myself, wow, it's Friday and this individual has $8 in their bank account. Not that you should have all your money in the bank, but $8, you probably should have a little bit more than $8 in your bank account. And I think, wow, and I've seen these slips at zero. And I'm thinking, is the consumer really that resilient? And today on CNBC, consumer spending fell in October, according to new CNBC NRF retail monitor tracking card transactions. So now we're seeing retail spending going down. I'm looking at bank slips with $8 in people's bank accounts. How much trouble is the average person in right now?
Yeah, so right now, a lot of people, they're trying to support their lifestyle that they had back in 2020, 2021, 2022. A lot of these people are just burying themselves more and more into debt, trying to be able to sustain that, when in reality it's going to get to a point where they're only going to have one option, and that's probably going to be bankruptcy. So I think that a lot of people should really be aware of what they're spending every single month and really try to cut down, because things are only going to go south from here. And if they don't prepare, they're going to see the aftermath of it.
You and I, during lunch, you brought up something that really hit the nail on the head, in my opinion. I've done some videos on it in the past, is we're talking about how are people going to keep these homes? And you said a lot of people are going to keep these homes because they're going to have a lot more people living in these homes. Elaborate.
Yes. So back when the other financial crisis back in 2008, I did see a lot of my clients, a lot of people, they were purchasing homes they couldn't really afford, especially with the type of loans they were getting. So in order to stay in the house as much as possible, a lot of people were actually bringing in more people to live at the home. So if they had a nice house, they would pack 6 people into the garage, 4 people into 1 bedroom. They would have 12, 13, 14 people living in one house just to be able to make ends meet. But in reality, that wasn't the true fix. The whole fact was that the loan that they got and the home that they got was unaffordable, period. Now we have this situation where more and more people are running into the same thing, where they're starting to bring more people into the household to be able to afford the mortgage.
We're seeing this again.
We're seeing it again.
I did videos on this 2 years ago.
Yes.
3 years ago. It was already happening.
Yes.
And so now, again, I see 4, 5, 6, 7
Yes.
cars sometimes parked out in front of a house or the driveway. And
Yeah.
people are living in the garages, right?
Yes.
People don't believe me when I said there's people living in garages out here.
People are living in the garages. There's a lot of garages. They're converted into bedrooms unpermitted. And for anyone out there who's a realtor that's been, in that position for many, many years, they can attest to the fact that a lot of the homes have unpermitted garages.
Mhm.
And so it's kind of a surprise for a person who's trying to buy a home, realizing that that garage was once converted into an extra bedroom for the home. And that was one of the ways that people were able to sustain living in that home. Either they rented the garage out like a studio, or they were able to collect some extra money.
Wow, the standard of living in America is no doubt changing. Blake, you made another point that I thought was really good today too. We've talked about this. The new home builders and prices of these new homes aren't quite what they seem to be. Want to talk about that?
Yeah, I was talking about that a little bit ago, where essentially some of these home builders are buying down the interest rates on these houses, because now we're at right around 8%. And so instead of taking that amount that they're buying down off the sale price of the house, they're working essentially backdoor deals where the prices are still staying pretty high. So we're not seeing the comps in the neighborhoods around these new houses dropping yet. So to me, it just seems like we're hanging out there at these all-time highs, at or near them. We've seen things start to come down a little bit, but we haven't really seen the bottom fall out from under these prices as of this point.
But they're able to maintain because they're buying down a house from 8% to 4.99%. So they're buying down a house 50 to 100,000, maybe 150,000 of the financing of that house, but it's not being reflected in the price of the house. Also, the some of the upgrades they may be offering that they're including in these homes are not being they're not being shown in the true price of the home either, right? The incentives.
Right. And so, to that point, we see a lot of folks that can't wait. Kind of that instant gratification in our society. Where I'm doing my best to hold out too. I have plans. I would love to be in a really nice home, but I know that now's not the time. And even with these incentives, it just seems like the fools rush in at the end.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
they're trying, and I understand people want a nice house. They want to get in right now. We want that nice house right now. But now's not the time, in my opinion. And I could be wrong. I mean, maybe in a year or two, things are still hanging out here, but that's the price I'm willing to pay. I'm willing to wait, save up my money, invest in certain assets that I believe are going to do very well, which are mentioned quite often on this channel. And when the time is right, all of us are going to know, and we can go from there.
Enrique, how bad does this get?
I really do believe that these homes right now that are really, really overpriced eventually have to come back down to earth. People are going to have to be able to afford, regular folk have to be able to afford these homes. And right now, most regular folk cannot afford the homes around them.
Let me ask you this. Could most people afford a home that was 20, 30% less than what it's being sold at right now? I don't think they could.
I don't think they could. There has to be a lot of variables that will happen in order for that to happen.
We got too many people losing jobs. There's too much inflation. There's too much debt.
Yes.
Think about how far this is going to have to come down in order for people to actually be able to afford a home again. People, I mean, they're tapping into retirements. They're tapping into savings accounts. They got $8 in their checking account. They got debt up to their eyeballs. How in the world is anybody doing it right now? Especially if you have 3, 4 kids, 2 kids. Health insurance, auto insurance, cell phone bills, credit card bills, student loan bills, and food bills, of course, continue to go up. I just don't get how people are surviving at this point right now.
Yes, I agree. You know, it's getting to the point where eventually people are going to have to make a change. And if they don't make a change, it's all going to be downhill.
So I'm going to ask Blake, anything you want to close with? Any predictions, anything you see right now or think is coming?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing right now is have patience. You know, and it's tough. It really is. But if you're focusing on the right things, continuing to learn, you know, this channel is phenomenal. I've branched out onto many other people talking about many different things, whether it's health and wellness, financial, the economy, and the government, what they're doing, interest rates and beyond. So I think now is the time to really just be learning and practicing healthy habits and being patient. And I think we're nearing a point here where in the near future, we're going to start to see some fireworks. It seems like there's just too many things happening all at once right now. You're talking about multiple conflicts around the world, things heating up in that sense. We've got an election coming up in the next year. We've seen the highest pace of interest rate increases, I believe, on record or near, you know, right around that. So I think there's a lot of different factors, variables that are coming to a head. So things might seem like, okay, we're chugging along here, we're holding things together, but I do think over the next, I would be hard pressed to say over the next year to two that we don't see some major fireworks and a lot of things start happening, which some of them will be good things, some of them will not be good things. And it depends on where you're at in your situation and if you're prepared for these things or not prepared for these things. So I want everyone to try and do their best, continue learning, try and be as healthy, pick up new habits, and just be patient.
Yeah, I couldn't say it better than Blake said it. Fantastic advice right there. Enrique, anything you want to say in closing? Maybe where you see it's going? What can people do right now to stop the bleeding?
So the first thing that I recommend to people is to review all their expenses on a monthly basis and cut down the unnecessary garbage. You know, there's a lot of subscriptions out there that are not necessary or you can live without. Also, don't pay attention to the media and all its advertising. There's a lot of fashion influencers right now online that keep promoting that you have to have everything new, all the new clothing, new jewelry, new watches, new cars, new everything. Stop paying attention to all that. You know, if you don't have to watch all that social media, even better. Focus your energy on producing more money for yourself, for your family. And if you do have any high interest debt, start attacking it. You know, bring up a new source of income somewhere, whether it be starting a YouTube channel, whether it be doing a side hustle, something that'll bring you money to be able to start paying down the high interest debt. If you had that mistake in the past, amend it by doing that. And then little by little, once all that debt is paid off, then at that point you can start investing in yourself, building assets, and eventually you should be able to move forward and be able to capitalize when the time is well.
Well put. I think that's great advice from both these gentlemen. Blake, you said keep learning, get those skills, keep absorbing the knowledge. And Enrique, you said raise capital, get the side hustles, get the debt paid down. I think that's a fantastic combination. I think we'll leave it there today. Make sure to like, share, subscribe, comment down below about anything you want to comment. I want to, again, thank Blake for coming out, watching and supporting the show for over 2 years. Enrique, just an honor meeting you in September and talking to you in Dallas. And I look forward to doing this again. It's refreshing to know that we got people like you out here awake. And that is a reminder to all of you, you're not alone. You're not the only one seeing this. You're not the only one that knows what's going on. You're not alone. These two right here know exactly what's going on, just like you. The question is, what are we all going to do about it? We're not going to sit around. We're going to keep absorbing knowledge, learning new skills, building up more capital, build up that war chest, get ready for the opportunities that are coming, and also get ready for the dangers that are coming. Make sure you can take care of yourself. Make sure you got security. God bless. Have a great day. Talk to all of you very, very soon.